Now, so now the way relational database works is okay. A quick recap. So we are trying to work on we are looking at working on saving data on our local database. And prior to this class, we have done something on shared preference where we use it to save some values on the local storage. But shared preference is more like a key value paired local storage, whereby to save a value, the value, I mean, to save anything, that value would have a key. So that we use a key to reference that value. So, but the problem we have with this shared preferences, it cannot manage a large data. For example, let's say we have a student. Let's say we have a student. So, a student will have name, right? The student will have name. It will have age. It will have age. Sorry, and some other data like class. Since it's a student, the student will have the current class that they are. Now, to save these properties, all these properties belong to one student. Are you following? Abib, you are breaking. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can hear me, ba?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, good. So, like I was saying, so all these properties, the name, the age, and the class belongs to one student. Now, we have another student. We can have student two. Let's say student one, you have student two. Student two also have all these properties. All these properties belongs to student two as well. So to manage this record with shared preference that works with key value pair will be difficult because all this data, each for a student would have a name, age, and class. So this data will be very difficult for us to manage with shared preference, since shared preference is a key value paired database. So an approach that we can use is we can use relational database. Okay, we can use relational database. Let me clear this. I should be able to clear this, whatever I've drawn now.
It seems
Is there
it's the
anything?
eraser you use.
Yeah, I
Well,
picked the razor, but it's too tiny. I want it to be much bigger. Where is it? Where is it? The tools will be available. I just don't know where it is. Razors, paint, pencil. Oh, I can't seem to find it though. And I cannot create a new page. Let me use Control A.
just use a
Let's
new
see.
screen and a new page.
Okay. Okay. I think this new page will work. All right. So we have now each student. Please hold on. Give me a minute. This is too big. I don't know which pen I'm using before. Okay, now, so each student, now, we want to use relational database. Relational database allows us to have a table per each record that we want to manage. So it allows us to have a table. So table is just something like this. Let's say we have this. Then we can call this student table. Are you following, Habib?
Yes, sir.
So we can call this student table. Now, this student table, the first column, we can have student's name. We can have age. We can have class. What else does students have? Let's just keep it at these three. So, and we can also have something like this, an ID. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Would have something like this, an ID. And the ID will be unique per each student. So we can say ID. Let's call it 1, 2. The ID can be numerical, it can be string, so far that it will be unique. You can call this 3, we can call this 4. So just know that once we assign 1 for a student, no student can also have the ID of 1. Are you following, Habib?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And also we can set this to be auto increment, such that we do not need to pass this ID manually ourselves. We will not need to manage this ID ourselves. Our database can handle it for us, such that any moment we add a new student to the data, it will auto increment the ID. So it will look at the last ID, which is 5. Then to assign the next student, it will give that student 6. Then the name, the property that we send will be filled up here. So that is how relational database works. So, and we call each student data on the table, we call it row. We call rows of students. So now let me ask you this question. So now that we have this kind of setup, how can we access a particular student? Habib,
Through the
I'm asking you this question. How can we
particular student,
access
through the ID.
through the ID? Correct. Yeah, that's very good. That's what I'm expecting. Because we know that students' name can be the same. I mean, we
Yes,
can
sir.
have students with same name. We
Yes,
can
sir.
have students with same age. We can have the same students with same class. But one thing that is unique across all of them is their ID, right? So we can use the ID to reference any student that we want. So that is how relational database works. And the popular relational database we use in Flutter is SQF Lite. Yes. So to use a relational database, so this is the Abib, are you following?
Yes, sir.
So this is the package. If we want to use SQLite in our projects, we need to include this package. Then you can read up the setup of how to use it. So see, this is how to um, now the first thing that we need to do is to create a database. We need to create that database. By create that database, what I mean is, for example, you want to keep a record. First thing that you need to do is you need to buy a logbook, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's say you want to keep a record manually. Habib, are you following?
Yes, sir.
So the first thing you need to do is you get a logbook, right?
Yes,
Now,
sir.
that means that is by buying that logbook, you give it a name. That is what you are doing by creating a database. And this is where what this line of code does. So it gets it gets a part of your if you are using a phone or Android, it will for a particular get the default part of your application. Then it will now join the parts with this name that you want to give your database. You know, you can give it logbook, you can give it employees logbook, you can give it whatever the name you want to give your database. So just make sure that it ends with .db.
Okay.
So this project, I want you to build a project around this. I want you to do it yourself actually. So I want you to be able to, for example, want to do something, you think about it, and you learn how to source for documentation on whatever you don't know before. So that is why I want you to do this yourself. I'll show you what you need to know around it, and then so let's read this together. Then you build a project around it, and then we'll look at Firebase, because that Firebase is what I really want you to. But I don't want to. I want. I don't want to skip this one. So that is why I want you to do it yourself, and then I would take you on Firebase. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, so yeah, the first thing is you already noticed that you add the parts to you will add the
Yes, sir.
dependency to your project. Then so as I was saying, you first get the part of your app. There's something around here which okay, let me just explain it. So this get part is a function that we would have to create manually ourselves. It's not SQLite that will that gives us this function. It's the function that we will work on ourselves. These functions we use it to get part of our. Let me open a project and show you something. Here's my code. So we need to use a package called Path Provider in Flutter. There's a package called Path Provider. Let me see. Experience. So let me go to uh, local. I'm just trying to show you this as a reference so that you see what we are doing. Now, first thing is, let me walk you through this what I'm doing here. So the first thing is get the application directory. So you see that they name their own okay, sorry. Get application directory. This line of this function, I did not create it myself. It's coming from this path provider package. So meaning that you would have to work with this package, path provider, and you need to, I think this package already handle permission for you. So don't worry about the permission. Okay, you don't worry. So, so, you first need to get the part of your app. You first need to, that means you need to look at path provider. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now, then once you get the parts, this is what I'm doing here. Once I get the parts here, this is for Windows app, since the app I was working on is on Windows. So you need this for Windows. You'll see it in the SQF Lite Windows. I think they already, then you will need to add the part to the join. So this part returns directory objects. And what this join needs is a string. That is, so you need to access the path parameter um of this directory. You see, it's a directory and it
Yes.
has a parameter of paths. So that is what we need. And then you give it whatever the name you want to give your database. And so this dot is not necessary actually, but for me, just because I want to hide my database for not just, I mean, not to allow anybody just to see the database. You know, your Windows system usually hides anything that starts with dots. Are you
Yes.
following? So
Yes,
that
sir.
is why I use dots as a prefix so that it hides my database for not anybody can go just see it at a glance. That might be a security threat. You believe so? Someone can just randomly delete your database and all your data is wiped. So that is that. Okay, this line of code is not necessary. I'm just there was a time I had a code that I was trying to fix. That is why I added this slide to check if my file, if my database exists in on the file. So we might not need this line of code. I was using this to check the size of my database. Please give me a minute. Okay, Abib.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that. So please hold on. Please hold on, Abib. Abib,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry for that, please. So so this init database, you see that I created a function. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now you will see that I create an init function. This function will only run once. I mean, this function will run once in your app entire life. So it means that if you open your database for the first time, you create your database for the first time, it would it will create this data on your storage.
Okay.
Hold on, please. So this would only run once. That is when the database is not. Anytime it fetch this part, anytime your database fetch this part, that means your database, or I mean your database is already existing. So it will skip everything here. It will skip this line of code. But if not, it will create it again. So now we already
Come again,
create a
sir.
part. I mean, this init part, init DB, this function. So
Yes, sir.
every time you run your application, it will first check if this part already exists. So if it exists, that means it knows that your database is already existing. Then it will not execute this on create. But if it couldn't find a part, it will create it again. So now this once we know the part that we want to store the value, I mean we want to store our database. So we'll call open database. This is just like you are opening your book, right? You
Yes, sir.
are opening your logbook. So it will check if on create, then you actually provide the version of your database. That is important. Then this is where we pass the path. We'll give it a version. Then on create, I'll show you the code of this on create. Then if you want to configure it anyhow, you can add your configuration code in here. But this is not important for now. I only put this for timeouts functionality. That's why this is here. So now you can ignore this. This is just for debugging purpose. Now let me show you on create method. Inside the on create method, all right? we want to we want to do db.execute. Then this query is called SQL query. Hello.
Come again,
You
sir, I can't
have
hear you.
this query that you are seeing here is called
Yes, sir.
SQL query. Let me do this. You can try and you can okay. Hold on, please. Subhanallah. Hello, Abib.
Yes, sir.
I don't think you are following.
I'm following you,
And
sir.
no, you are not. I was speaking on mute, and I was moving my mouse around, but
I saw
you
what you're
couldn't
doing,
notice.
but since you said you were coming, that was why really.
Uh,
I thought you were going to something.
okay, hold on. Let me come back. Yeah, Abib, I'm here. So, like I was saying, let me go back to my notes. Okay, let me just explain what I just said on the website. So I said you can, at your leisure time, you can come to W3 schools and read about SQL query. So these are the the syntax of how to interact with SQL database. So you can you can use this to insert data. Just know these few important one. So we use insert. So insert into, you see this, insert into, this is table name, then the parameters of the table, then the values. So you can just know this and know the few ones to do CRUD. And at your leisure time, you can try and come and read all the other ones. Okay, Habib.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what I wanted to show you here is this. We've opened our database. Then you want to create. First thing is, if you are logging on Excel, if you want to log on Excel, the first thing you will do is to draw out your table. Abi.
Yes, sir.
So the first thing you will do is to draw out your table. So that is what we are doing inside this on create. So the first thing is you create a table and give this a name. This is the name of my table. I just try to use this constant values. So you create table with the name that you want to give your table name. Then the ID. ID is a primary key because it is something that we want to use to reference all the data, right? It's a primary key. And if you look at this, I said ID, this will be the data name. The data type of that table will be text. So if you want to use integers, if you want it to auto increment, yeah, I want the data to be to use UUID. If you look at this, I have UUID here. So I want to
Yes,
use
sir.
this UUID. That is why I use text. That's why I use text here. But if you want SQL to manage your ID for you, you will use integer and you will be auto incrementing the ID. Are we following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you can add a key here and call unique. Unique. So this will make the data, this ID to be unique. It must be unique, right? So, what again? So now, this will be your column. The value you want to call all your column. Let me open this database uh, on my device here. I have this device, this thing to open the database. All right, let me open it. This particular database is stored here. This is it. Like that. Hold on, please, Abi. Give me a minute. Abi,
Yes, sir.
okay. So, like I was explaining, please, Abi, you've been taking note of. So, I want you to get this once and for all. That's even the reason I opened this database for you. Though it's a testing database actually, so I will need to. Now let me go and look for this is student class. Let me open students. Okay, this student. Now, if you look at this, you see that the ID is this. This column is coming accordingly to the way I created my table. So this one creates table. So it means that it will create a table and call it, you see, table name. You see, table and it's called students. Because that is what I create. I call my table name. Then the first column of the table is ID, which is this. Since my ID is a text type, so that is why I have this. Then the surname, you see that it's showing exactly the way I wrote it here. So meaning that this data is coming from here. So we have name, surname here, first name, middle name, and gender. The passport is blob. It's another data type of. image. So, but don't worry yourself about this. You don't need to you don't need to do anything on log yet. You can see on my data set it's not. So you have all this. Then after this, that means you have created a structure for your database. You've created a structure for your database. So it means that each rows will have this is row, this is row, this is first row, this is second row. Third row. So we can use this ID. You see, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me copy this ID. So let me copy this ID and go to SQL. I can say select. I can write the query here. Select. I can say select all. To use all, to select all, that means I want to select all properties of this particular ID from this table. So, and to use all in SQL query is means star. This star means all. So that means select all. Where would it select? From. You can actually write everything on the same line like this. Select all from, but I love to keep it line by line. So select all from where students, students. So this is my table name, student. Now I can now say where ID. That is, this ID is the column name, right? Is equal to this ID, and I can execute my command. So it says, okay, I need to wrap this in a string, I think. So let me close. What did I do?
What about the VSR? WHAR.
Oh. I did not notice that. Thank you. So select all from ID. Yeah, I think I still need to wrap it in this. So let me run that again. As you can see, execution finish without error. That means, and you can see it selected one row. And this is the time I took the database to fetch the data. It took 27 milliseconds. That means it's very fast. At least you get your data in real time. You get your response in real time. And this is the data it selected. See, it selects all data of that row, of that ID. You see?
Yes, sir.
Now, you see that now I want you to see something. I have more than one Kemi here. I have more than one Kemi here. So if I select from student what uh where first name, let me copy the column name. Where first name, is equal to
Yes.
Kemi. If I run this, selected this only this Kemi. Let me see why it didn't select the second one. Okay, syntax. Syntax
Capital
issue. This
letter,
one
yeah.
is capital, yes. This one starts. Let me reset it to. Let me do this. So you can actually modify your database in real time, but this is not uh this is not a good practice to just come to your database manually and change something. That is not really a good practice. Do you get? So
Yes, sir.
beware. Don't do this. And if I now it says it fetches two rows and it responded in 14
Person.
milliseconds. That is quite fast. So now that is how to open our database. Now let's go and look at how to insert data into our database. Now let me go to where Facebook. Okay, this is the people. Now, oh, this will be somehow because there are a lot of things I'm doing on this function. It's more than one. Let me try and look for another data that I'm not really doing to which other tool is that. Okay, well, let me just use it. Let's use it. Let's use it. Um, Now to insert data in our database, what we simply need to do is we need to get the instance of our database. One thing you need to know is, Abib, are you following?
Yes, sir.
You should not open multiple instances of your database. If you open more than one instance, your app will crash. This is what I mean. If you look at this DBL app, this is where I'm creating my database. But I make the database a global variable. Why is because every time I want any table to reference the database, it should still be the same database. I mean, I haven't closed my database. Why should I open it again? If I open again, that means I'm opening different reference of the database. Please, are you following?
Come again, sir.
If you notice here, I made my database as a global variable. And why is that is because I want to use a single instance of my database. And this is where I'm doing that. I assigned the value and I said if the database is null, it's not null, return the database. But if it is null, initialize the database. Hello, do you get that?
Yes, sir.
Do you
Yes,
get this line? Do you understand this line?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this line is saying is returning database, but if it is null, get the initialized database and reassign it to this value. So that is what I'm doing there. Now, inside my, let me use local, payment local. Do I need aha? Aha, we can use this. Okay. Now, inside this make payments, let's say, now, first thing that is important is this student ID is unique across all my table. And if you look at this table here, how do I do this? Okay. Now, if you look at this table, it has student ID. Now, if I go to payments, yes. Now, payments have its own ID. Each payment have its own ID, but also have student ID. Hello. Meaning that
Yes, sir.
anytime I want to query, instead of, for example, I have a table for students, I have another table for payments, and
Yes, sir.
students are the one that make payments, right?
Yes, sir.
Instead of me to have student data inside the payment table again. For example, if I record, let's say someone bring 1,000 naira, a student bring 1,000 naira, and I want to record that 1,000 naira. I will need to record the name of, I mean, the amount, the
Yes,
name of
sir.
the students, the
Yes,
name of
sir.
the student that make that payment, the class
Yes,
of
sir.
that student that make that payment,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Now, to be doing that, in fact, if I still want to track how much the student is still owing, I will still need to put that data. But the best approach is just to have the student ID. Just save the student ID in that your table. So it means that whenever you query this payment ID, you can also it will return the student ID for you. and use that value or that student ID to query the student table. Hello, meaning that you use one query to fetch different table. Hello,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's good. Also, it means that since I have class ID also, it means that I can also fetch the class of that payment, even without knowing the student ID. Do you get? Without even knowing the student ID, I can fetch the students. I can fetch the class, the student class. So that is how relational database works, and this is how to insert data to insert, fetch, and interact with relational database. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the instance of our database. This is what I'm doing here. Then, now, if we want to do more than one thing, for example, if I just want to insert the student's name in, let's say, um, student local location. If I just want to insert the student's name, what I just need to do is db dot insert. Let me see where I'm doing db dot insert. db dot insert. db dot insert. Is there anywhere I'm doing this? Okay, this one is gets. Oh, okay, yeah. Look at this. This term data table. What I'm just doing is insert db dot insert, then the table name, then the ID, the all the columns in short. So this I am only doing db dot, and the reason I'm using db dot insert is because it is the only query I'm doing at this point. Yeah. But if after inserting the student, I still want to fetch or do another thing with this same database instance. So before I close the database instance, I need to convert the database to a transaction. What does a transaction mean? Is that when it keeps the database open until you do everything that you want to do. And if that thing fall, it will revert everything you do immediately. Hello,
Yes, sir.
are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
Please, if you have a question, please quickly call me back. For instance, in this create student, the first thing is I want to insert the student data. After inserting the student data, I want to insert their guardian data as well. I don't want to keep the guardian data and the student data in the same table. That is why I have another table for guardian table. So after inserting the student data immediately, I want to insert the guardian data as well. So to do that, I need to convert my database to a transaction. And what transaction does is, for instance, let's say I have inserted this student, but inserting the guardian detail field, maybe due to one or two error, the guardian data could not insert. This will quickly roll back the transaction. So meaning that it will not complete transaction. See, in database, I mean in programming, you would hear if you are, especially if you are working with security. Let's say you are working on a fintech app. You know that fintech app, it's really important to take security into consideration, right?
Yes, sir.
So you will hear transaction a lot, because in programming we refer transactions as something that if it doesn't complete, it has to roll back to, it's either it's complete or we don't have any data. We don't want to have partial data. For instance, when you send money to someone, Hello. Let's say you send something to Union Bank, you send from OP, you want to send money to Kuda. We want to make sure that when we send the money, when it gets to Kuda, the transaction completes on Kuda as well, while the transaction completes on OP before we can mark that transaction as complete. If it doesn't complete, we want to roll back to initial, whereby the money doesn't leave your OP. That is transaction. Transaction is either the query completes or it doesn't happen. Either it completes or it doesn't happen. We don't want to have partial data. So that is what is happening here. Either we record all the student data or we do not record anything. That is transaction. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
So if you have data that you want to do something more than one thing at a time, so you just use transaction. You convert it to transaction and you convert it to transaction and you use the parameter your transaction the transaction object to do whatever you want to do. To query database is quite easy. You just do where is it? db.query. Then you give the query the database name. What do you want to query by? If you do you want to query by ID, by name, and so you can look at this function. This is a function that SQL Flight database gives us. You look at this. Um, so you can look at all this one by one. If you want to count the database, you can use this to count and the like. So they even give us an example of a to-do app. Like this, you can use it to insert. Just look at this and read. Please, should I should I should I trust you to do this?
I'll go through it, sir.
Is there any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Mm, I'm thinking. Let me give you till next. Uh, coming on. I want to see how I want to do this so that by next class we can start on. Or should I? I'm thinking if I should give you today to read this because I want us to move on to Firebase, but I don't want us to skip this before doing database. So we should read this today, tomorrow, on Thursday. Let me know what you have. So that will determine if you will start Firebase or not. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Should I share this link?
Yes, sir.
Please do. I will be expecting something good. I trust you. This for SQL now. And this is the literacy. And don't forget the Flutterby today if you want to go. That's if you want to go. Can you see it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I think that's all for now. If you don't have any questions. All right. So what I want you to do is when you read it, create a simple I created one app for HND. And Abib, by next year, I want you to join HND. Though it's already late for this year,
I
I
should
want
join.
you to join HNG intern. So I would give you more details about it later. So but for now, let me find the UI. Start it. Okay. I want you to create a student management app. Okay. Student management app. The app would have, it will include the student's name. Hello, Abib.
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Okay. The data will, okay, call it a storekeeper app. Storekeeper app. So with this app, I want you to be able to record. Let me use this screenshots. You can reference this screenshots. Uh, so now look at the screenshot I sent here. Create create a data that you can use to insert students. I mean, you can use it to insert product. Don't worry about image yet, too. But if you can do it, it's fine. But if not, don't stress yourself on about it. I mean, saving the image to the local database. But if you can try, that means you would need to. This app, I did it for one internship stuff, the HNG internship, which by next year I would want you to do it as well. So this you can use it to select the image from the device or from camera. But don't worry about it yet if you can't. But if you can, if you want to give it a try, give it a try. So input data and update. When you click update, it will update the data on the list here. It will update the data from list here, or it can delete. So that is it. So the data will have the product name, the amount, the price, the quantity. So I think that's all. And your database would have something like once you create the structure of products, then you would have the ID, the name. You use numerical ID. Do you get the name, the price, and the quantity? Yeah, that's all. Is there any question? Please do this and let me know what let me know what you are capable of. All right. If there's no questions, let's end this here. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.